Wondering if you measure up? Take this free drum challenge and find out your level. This is not only clickbait, it's also imposing an arbitrary hierarchy on music, just for clicks. Besides, who are you to sit in judgment? Bro, I'm sick of your flippin' holier-than-thou BS. Your beats aren't even very loud. Besides, have you checked out Dylan Elise? Sorry, just having a nightmare. Okay, I get that it's clickbait. I did an Instagram post about the most reliable ways to make sure your video is viral. And what's your level / do you measure up videos are high on that list. Along with can you survive SEAL training and I only ate rutabagas for 6 weeks and you won't believe what happened. I also know that deigning to judge other drummers' levels, let alone claiming that there's some kind of objective hierarchy in music, and further that I know what that is, will reliably produce hate in the comments. As it did 2 months ago with my Secret Ways Pros Can Tell If You're Legit video, and even last week with my drum setups you shouldn't use if you're a beginner even though the greats sometimes use them video. Just hate. Here's the problem though. While there are no objective standards in drumming, there simultaneously kind of are objective standards in drumming. Like, Marcus Gilmore is better than most of us. Justin Brown is better than most of us. Vinny is better than most of us, etc. If we can agree on that, we have a starting point. If you can't, feel free to just leave your troll comment below and skedaddle, as they say in my home state. It's also true that if you accept some people are better than others, there are also ways to judge that are more obvious to more experienced people. Like, would you rather have Herbie Hancock judge a drum audition or Jeff Bezos? If you said Herbie, it's probably because on some level you agree Herbie can hear things Jeff can't, by virtue of Herbie's superior experience in that area. I wouldn't necessarily ask Herbie's advice on e-commerce on the other side of the coin, even though Herbie's a very smart guy who knows business, so maybe I would. This is a lot of ass covering, but experience has taught me to get the caveats out of the way early. So, if you accept that there are levels to this musical game, and that some people, by virtue of their experience, are better equipped to judge, in this lesson, I want to give you some of the tools those expert judges have to see your drumming as an expert might. And ask yourself, as I ask myself constantly, and often I don't like the answer, can you measure up? DJ, let's kick that channel theme. Channel theme by Taraver Chung, by the way. Excellent jazz guitarist from Hong Kong. He's over at taraverchung.com. I'll link that below. A lot of people ask about that. Anyway, presenting Le Drum Challenge. Level 1, keeping the time. Can you keep the time during this recording?
Put the windows down, 'cause it's getting hotter in here. Yeah, I know you feel it now.
This is Time Off by Star Row. Bro, are you using other people's content to sell your stuff? That's stealing! SMH. I'm doing a video about all this, but it's actually fair use for 3 reasons. Number 1, I'm using a short clip rather than the whole thing. That alone doesn't save me though. Second, my use is what's called transformative, which means I'm not just using it as a soundtrack, but rather I'm analyzing it for educational purposes. Third, this video is non-commercial, in that I'm not making any direct commercial appeals in it. Now, whether the YouTube algorithm, which doesn't distinguish between fair use and piracy, decides to block this is another matter. Anyway, back to the topic. Why it's important. One of the most underrated differences between mediocre drummers and good ones is the ability to keep the tempo.
Reaching for your clothes out. Said you got a lot to attend.
When I was in college, we called it time, although most YouTubers seem to call it timing now. Potato, potato. The trouble is, mediocre drummers by and large don't know their timing is bad because by definition, if they did, they'd spend time fixing it instead of getting better double bass pedal jobs. And to the degree I'm mediocre, hopefully I'm the exception, the mediocre drummer who knows his time is garbage. A slow song with lots of space will expose weak timing in a hurry. Here's how to use this track. Test. Record and test lockup with the band. And also, if your drums sound good individually when you solo the drum track. Does it groove on its own? Are your sounds clean and consistent? Is it locking up with the recording? Timing not as good as you thought? Easy though time-consuming fix. Play with the metronome on every 4th, 8th note or on beat 4, depending on the tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I hate to say it, but record yourself playing with live musicians if you can. A recording's not going to get pulled off by your timing, so you can follow it. But you have to lead a real band. Timing is just one element though. Let's talk about level 2. Level 2, micro time and lockup. Can you lock up with this recording?
I hate to make me nervous. I hope I say the wrong thing. It doesn't matter anyways. Ain't nothing gonna change on.
This is The List from Moonchild. How about this one? This is Shoulda Been from Capiac. Bro, how come all your demo tracks sound like hoity-toity fusion garbage? You think Skinner gave a toss about your foofy micro time? You think Bonham cared? I should get off your YouTube high horse and play some actual gigs. While it's true that I'm choosing tracks more toward the modern jazz, fusion, electronica side of the spectrum, it's only because playing along with this type of track will expose deficiencies faster. Yes, classic rock has a certain characteristic push and pull and a looser beat. But if it's so much easier, how many garage band drummers do you hear that can groove as well as Bonham? And why do we revere Bonham so much if what he does is so easy? Of course, the truth is Bonham had just as much groove subtlety as any great drummer. It was just overshadowed by some of the other elements. By the way, Bonham was also great at some of the further levels in our challenge, like odd meter stuff and keeping the one. Anyway, here's the homework. Record yourself playing with the track.
I hate the situation.
Are you locking up perfectly, or is there some slop? When you solo the drum track, does it sound good by itself?
Ain't nothing gonna change on.
If it's not measuring up, here's what to do. Practice with a metronome on 8th offbeats or 16th offbeats, depending on the tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. Practice matrix exercises with 16ths on the hi-hat, as I'm doing here. 1, 2, 3, 4. By the way, if anybody wants to post any of these, just upload them as an Instagram timeline, or if it's longer than a minute, an IGTV, and just use the hashtag 8020challenge. Now let's talk about level 3. Level 3, filling around a complex beat. This is Searching by Brotherly. One of the secret skills I talked about in my 5 subtle skills lesson was filling against a complex beat or groove without disrupting it. At the time, I took a lot of heat for criticizing Eric Imprada's Guitar Center drum-off performance. Bro! How can you criticize Eric Imprada like that? You're just a jazz snowflake who probably cries himself to sleep. I know Eric's gotten a lot better since that clip. But the point I was trying to make is that soloing and then hitting a figure perfectly in time, as Thomas Pridgen does here, is not easy. In fact, I'd go so far to say Larnell Lewis wasn't only impressed by the fill, but also the fact that Thomas landed in the correct spot. A little like hitting a golf ball straight for 300 yards is a lot more impressive than slicing it into the bushes for 300 yards. So record yourself playing this track. The intro is the perfect place to fill into the groove. You can try filling at phrase endings too. When you listen back, here's what you're grading. Assuming you can play the groove, can you continue the groove without hiccuping after executing a fill? How clean is the fill? Is it in the pocket or does it rush or drag? And how clean are your drum sounds? Okay, on to level 4. It's about to get a lot more difficult. Level 4. Can you play this verse without losing the 1? This is Every Time I See You. Again, it's kind of on the fusion jazz side of the ledger. But that doesn't mean you need to be playing this style of music for this concept to be important. Here's a super short clip I hope doesn't get this video banned. Forget about metal or prog rock. Those genres have this kind of thing everywhere. The challenge, another one from my subtle skills lesson, how well can you count and keep track of the 1? So take as much time as you need, but can you play along to the verse of this song without losing the 1? Not up to par? It takes years to get good at keeping the 1 in your head, but I'd suggest starting to count in your head as you play simple, easy music, then raising the difficulty level. Here's what's chirping in my head as I play through this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4. But for level 4, I'm still giving you infinite time to learn the track. For level 5, you gotta be able to learn quickly. Level 5. Learn difficult music quickly. This is Red Hail Part 1 from Tigran Hamasyan. The challenge, should you choose to accept it, is to learn the exposition of this song in 45 minutes or less. There are a few different sections and there are figures to catch. Also, it's odd meter. Basically, it encompasses all the skills from the previous levels. You gotta keep the time. You've got to be locked up with a band or recording. You've got to fill or solo to set up figures without losing the groove. You've got to play across bar lines without losing the 1. And you've got to learn it in a hurry. In case you think this is hyperbole or high-level players don't actually have to do this, check out JP Bouvet's recent vlog about subbing in Periphery.
My friend Matt Halpern just called and asked if I could sub for a Periphery gig. This weekend on Saturday. Today it's Tuesday.
Anyway, just being a rock drummer doesn't get you off the hook either. From Zeppelin to modern metal, there are complex songs with odd-length phrases you're going to have to learn. And in the real world, that's often with minimal time to learn the music and minimal rehearsal. So, how to practice this stuff? There's truly no substitute for a gig like a cruise ship, where you can perform new music in front of an audience every week. But you can absolutely simulate that feeling by giving yourself a short amount of time to learn a drum cover, then uploading it to YouTube or IGTV. Or Twitch. Is that what the kids are into these days? Twitch? So there you have it. This one guy's opinion about levels in drumming. This one guy who's not claiming to have mastered them all either. Hopefully you found this helpful, and hopefully it's reached some of you who were skeptical that there are levels to this game. Haters, I don't care about. You guys can leave your troll comments and they'll just get screenshotted and sent to my jujitsu friends so we can laugh at them. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this lesson, and you'll notice I alluded earlier to fair use, which means I'm not making any direct commercial pledges in this video. Instead, what I'd ask is if you dug the video, share it with somebody who might find it interesting. And please click that subscribe button and the bell below. I'll see you back here in another lesson of the week. Peace. Well, hey there. Should we address the mustache? It's November. It's November, guys. You're just a jazz snowflake who probably cries himself to sleep.